Listen, this is really important, the honesty part in your reflection. And this is whether you're reflecting on your personal life, your business, your health and wellness journey, whatever it may be. Because listen, if you can't be honest in January, you'll be confused in July. You'll be confused in July. If you're listening to this in January, you probably already felt it. The calendar changed. Surprise! But your life didn't. Same stress, same habits, same distractions, same old, same old. I'll start tomorrow. I'll wait till Monday. I'll wait till we're through the full holiday season. A lot of people are going to do the same thing they do every year. And what is that? I know because I'm guilty of it. They'll get motivated for a week. They'll get the gym membership. They'll get their calendar in order. Then life hits. Distractions come into play, and they go right back to the old program, the old ways, the old habits. Not because they're lazy, not because I'm lazy, not because you're lazy, because there's a lack of a framework, a process. So today, I'm going to share with you the one I use, what I've kind of evolved into, and I do not just this time of year, but throughout the year. It's a simple framework. It works for business, personal life. It's going to focus on your body. It's going to focus on your family, your faith, your relationships. And here's one that we don't often think about, your legacy. And I'm going to show you how to win 2026 without pretending it's going to be easy. You don't need a perfect year, right? That's the thing. It's not perfection. You need a controlled year. You need a processed year. You need a year with systems and checks and balances. And that, if you choose, can start right now. So welcome back to the Tradepreneur Show. This is the first episode of 2026. This is season 2, episode 47 overall. But the first episode of season 2. I'm very proud to be in season 2. Still here. Listen, 2026 is going to be a great year. I just feel it. I know it. And how do I know? The same reason I knew 2025 would ultimately be a great year. I'm choosing it to be. I'm making a conscious decision to let it be a great year, to be intentional about doing what I can to make it a great year. I'm not hoping it's great. I'm not waiting for life to cooperate and everything to fall into line. I'm deciding it. And then I'm backing that with decisions and actions. And a lot of those start with the proper planning. Now, let me be clear. Let me be very clear with this. It's not going to be easy. A great year is not an easy year. And it's not going to be smooth, because a great year is not a smooth year. A great anything is not easy and smooth. There will be curveballs and setbacks, stress, and days where you're doing everything right, and it feels like nothing is moving. It feels like the world is against you. It's like building a sandcastle on the beach. But hey, that's life, right? That's how it works. But a great year doesn't require perfect conditions. It's a very important thing to remember. A great year requires the right framework and processes. And today, I'm going to give you mine, as I said. I want to introduce 2 new segments I'm going to start for 2026. Then I'm going to dive into the episode. First segment we're going to hit, and I'm going to start the episodes with this. I read a lot. So each month, I'm going to read and share the book that I happen to be reading that month. They're typically always business books, leadership books, mindset. It's going to be the Tradepreneur book notes, takeaways you can use. This is the book that I would be reading, and I am reading now, but each month it'll be a different one. And I'm going to give you the biggest takeaways. Now, what's really important is I encourage you to go out and read whatever book you want to read. And if you like some of the things that I'm sharing with you on the book that I'm reading, I encourage you to go out and read the book, right? I'm going to give you the snippets, the things that I think you can apply right away, or maybe you can ponder on. I'm also hoping to inspire you to read. You know, they say leaders are readers. Leaders are readers. They're not listeners. Now, let me rephrase that. You got to be a good listener to be a good leader. But listening to audio tapes is great. and it's very productive, and I do it. But I also make sure I read. I try and do a book a month. Sometimes I get a little bit more in, sometimes I fall behind. But reading is so good for your vocabulary, and just it's a discipline. It's you have to be intentional about it. I don't know about you, but I can listen to a book on tape and kind of get lost, get distracted, especially if I'm driving or something like that. So I'm going to encourage you to read a book. Doesn't have to be the book I'm covering, but we're going to go over a book. It's going to be a quick segment, and I'm not going to go deep into the book. It's not a book club, all right? So the second segment, I'm going to close out every episode with a quote of the week, because the goal is a podcast a week. So every episode, I want to share a quote with you, a quote that is meaningful and relates to what we're talking about, all right? Could be leadership, mindset, health, specifically to the trades, maybe just in general to those things. So with that said, let's kick off the first segment. This book I'm reading is written by an amazing individual, a tremendous businessman. And I'm going to share some takeaways that you can use right away. And this book this month is called Good Profit. It's by Charles Koch. If you're familiar with the Koch brothers. And here's the book right here, all right? Charles Koch is the CEO and chairman of Koch Industries, one of the largest privately held companies in the United States. How large? $125 billion a year. $125 billion a year. What's cool about this company is Koch Industries, we use their products every day. We interact with many of their products every day, but we don't know it. In this book, Mr. Koch is breaking down the management framework, the leadership framework behind the success at Koch Industries. And it's called market-based management, or MBM. And in plain English, the quick takeaways from the beginning of this book is, he wrote the book for people who want to move beyond buzzwords and anecdotes and laundry lists. He wanted to give the real, as for lack of a better term, the meat and potatoes of what drives his business. He's trying to give you the framework that produces good profit. And he makes a big distinction between profit, bad profit, and good profit. And good profit comes from creating real value for customers and society. Bad profit comes from value extraction, where customers or taxpayers end up subsidizing your business through distortions, games, or higher prices. We see it all the time. Look, I'm going to share with you right now. I think some electric cars are cool, but I'm not an electric car guy. Let the consumer decide. There is bad profit when an industry has to be propped up by government subsidies. So listen, MBM is organized into 5 dimensions, and this is where it gets very practical and ties into some of the things that we're going to talk about in this segment. One is vision. Where can we create the most long-term value? Where can we create the most long-term value? Think about that. 2, virtue and talents. Character first. They say they always character first. They say MBAs are a dime a dozen. So character first. The values matter. Think about that in your organization. Talent without integrity eventually becomes expensive. Think about that. Number 3, knowledge processes. How do we create, share, and apply knowledge faster than our competitors? Number 4, decision rights. The people closest to the truth should make the calls, not just the people with the biggest titles. The people closest to the truth should make the calls, not just the people with the biggest titles. Sounds very much like Jocko Willnick's philosophy on leadership. That's another book we'll get into another time. 5 is incentives. Incentives drive behavior. If you reward the wrong thing, you'll get the wrong thing every time. Incentives have to drive the right behavior. Now here's the knockout concept from part 1. The book's divided into 3 parts. We're highlighting the cliff notes. If you remember from back in the day, we're cliff noting part 1. And here it is. Creative destruction. Creative destruction. Think on that word. It's the idea that progress requires letting old systems die so new ones can replace them. How many industries do we see out there, businesses, lifestyles, that do not allow that to happen? They die themselves because they do not allow things to be reinvented and recreated. To me, I think it sounds a lot like disruptive chaos, right? Disruptive chaos. Creative destruction, disruptive chaos, similar. Because when you upgrade your business, listen, when you upgrade your business, your habits or your leadership, there's always a messy middle. And think about this, because it reminds me of the circle. Anytime there's change, I believe it's forming, storming, norming, performing, right? Old ways stop working. New ways aren't smooth yet. They're rough. They're uncomfortable. They're painful. And then what happens? Most people quit right there. They don't push through. But that's chaos. That's not failure. That's transformation and progress. Think about it this way. Killing a comp plan that rewards the wrong behavior, or killing sloppy installs by installing real checklists and standards. Killing tribal knowledge and replacing it with training. That one wreaks havoc on so many businesses. Killing customers or job types to destroy margin and morale. You know, Jack Welch, when he was at GE, he did a whole thing where he said when he became CEO, we're only going to keep the business divisions that we can be number 1 and 2 in. If we can't be number 1 and 2 in them, we're getting rid of them. That's creative destruction. Killing habits in your personal life that keep you tired and reactive. See, we're tying this into personal life as well. Here's the takeaway. If you want a better year, personally or professionally, something old has to go. That's Tradepreneur book notes, the takeaways you can use. And I'm going to start uploading on the website more in-depth cliff notes. I don't have a whole lot of time on the episode to turn this into a book club. I just want to talk a little bit about the book and the first section. And a lot of the first section of the book, the first maybe 90 pages, gives you an introduction to everything. And it talks a lot about the history of Koch Industries and how Charles Koch came to be involved. When he started in 1962, I want to believe it was, and he came to work for his father, they were $21 million a year in revenue. $21 million a year. He instituted this process, $125 billion. That's a very short time for a privately held company to grow like that. I encourage you, if you want just the cliff notes, tune in here, check out the website. If you want to really dive into it, I encourage you to read the book. And at the very least, get it on tape. You'll have some great takeaways you can apply in your life and business. And here's how we're going to connect this to today's topic, because it's the same principles in many, many ways. So where do we start? So I told you I was going to share a system I use, okay? And I use it at the beginning of the year, and then I use it throughout the year, because you always got to realign and reassess where you're at. But really, before you have goals, before you have vision boards, before you have the new year, new me, let's show up at the gym, let's whatever you're planning to do, you've got to reflect on where you've been. You got to reflect on the past year, the past quarter, the past week, the past day. If you don't know where you've been, you'll lie to yourself about where you are. And if you lie about where you are, if you're not honest with yourself, you'll build goals and you'll set goals that might as well be set in quicksand. I always like to reflect on where I've been. Probably not as regular as I should, be truthful, but I do it. I do not stop to smell the roses, or in some cases the manure, often enough, but I do it. And this is one time a year that I do it, and I usually do it, I try and do it at least once a quarter. And what really hit me in prepping for this episode is I was working out the other day with my trainer, Marissa. She asked me a question. She had me doing some painful, uncomfortable thing and decided she wanted to ask me a deep question. It's not really that deep. But she said, P, how do you rate your year, your 2025. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like an A, B, C, D, whatever. And I paused. I kind of gave it some pause and some thought because I've never really graded my year. I'm always kind of moving, and 1 year's over. I reflect on it. Okay, I got to change this. I got to do this, whatever. But I never really graded it. And I probably don't slow down long enough to actually give it a grade. Or maybe I don't want to give it a grade. But when she asked me the question, I thought about it. And I said, B minus. And maybe that's too generous. Now, other people, if that know me and I share my year with, they might say, Patrick, you're an A, at least an A. And I'm the type I would say maybe a B minus is too generous. I don't know if I could ever give myself an A. That's the way I am. And I think many of you are probably the same way. Even the greatest of years, the greatest of moments, the greatest of victories, my brain always wants to find what wasn't perfect so it can improve upon it. And I think that's how many entrepreneurs and how many business people operate. I grade harsh. I grade myself harsh. Ironically, so does Marissa, my trainer. Her and I are a lot alike in that mindset area. I'm guessing we probably want to be a lot of fun at parties. I mean, when you think about it. But anyways, I digress. The point here is this. You don't have to be nice when you reflect. You have to be honest. And listen, you're being honest with yourself. Nobody else has to know what you're reflecting on, what you're grading yourself on. You just need to be honest with yourself. So just start there. And if you can't be honest with yourself, then you got a little bit more digging to do, right? Reflection isn't self-hate. Reflection is self-awareness. And self-awareness is powerful. So for 2026, let me tell you, a first episode here, let me give you your first homework assignment, if I may. Reflect and judge your year. Judge your past year. Judge an A to an F. Use plus, minus, whatever. I don't care. Just take some time. Take 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Think about your year. What went right, what didn't, what you want to improve on. And then say, okay, if I had to grade my year in totality, what would I grade it? No speeches, no excuses, no talk consulting, just you in your own head. When you come up with a grade, ask yourself, what earned the grade? If it's a high grade or low grade, what earned you the grade? What cost you the grade you wanted, that you were striving for? What are you proud of? Of the year, what are you most proud of and what are you not so proud of? But you're going to own it, right? It's okay to have things you're not proud of, but own them. Just like when you have things that you're incredibly proud of, own them too. Humility is great, but you have a right to be proud and own the things that you do and accomplish. Listen, this is really important, the honesty part in your reflection. And this is whether you're reflecting on your personal life, your business, your health and wellness journey, whatever it may be. Because listen, if you can't be honest in January, you'll be confused in July. You'll be confused in July. Now, once you reflect and once you honestly do that and take notes, take notes. You can destroy the notes if you don't want anybody to see the notes. But if you need to take notes, brainstorm, jot things down, write the good, the bad, the ugly, draw a line down the center of the paper. Proud of, not proud of, went well, didn't go well, whatever it is. But once you reflect, then you can talk vision and goals. And this is where you can mess it up. Speaking from experience, I can tell you, no clear vision or unrealistic goals. Let's say you overinvest in one area, usually business or money, and then act shocked when everything falls apart. Build a monster career with a weak body. Stack cash, but lose your marriage. Grind like crazy and then wonder why you're anxious, distracted, drinking too much, or snapping at everyone. Listen, I can share this because I can own some of these behaviors. But here's what it comes down to. Life is structure. Life is structure. Life is process. I was just talking to one of my mentors today, and we're talking about some behaviors and some processes and to help set me up for some winning in certain areas. especially with diet and nutrition. And he talked about, I listened mostly, but the importance of a structure, a process. And so critical. So in doing this, you have to do it like you're building a building. If you don't get the foundation right and you don't get the structure right, it's going to collapse on you. So I operate off of what I call the big six. The big six. There's 6 pillars that support my structure. The first one is body, then family, then the tribe. Now, family is family, tribe is friends, everybody like that. Then faith, craft, and legacy. Now, listen, these are not in any particular order of importance. You may have one that is more relevant or important to you where you are in your life, but they all almost have to balance out to some extent. Now, let me talk real quick about balance. Everybody talks about balance. There's really no such thing as balance, right? If there was, when you got off the seesaw, it wouldn't tilt to one end. Think about it. A seesaw is a piece of wood, should be perfectly balanced, should be the same weight on either side, but when you get off, it doesn't just balance, does it? It falls to one end. I look at balance more of a time of life as you go through life. There's times where you're supposed to grind and work really hard, and then there's times where you're supposed to take a lot of time off and enjoy the fruits of your labor. There's times that you have to spend working on the family and being more present. And then there's a time where the kids grow up, and now you can spend more of the time with your spouse and significant other. So there's seasons to life and there's seasons to balance. When anybody sets out and they try and create a balance to where everything just equals out, just think of the seesaw. It doesn't work that way. And it's probably the one thing I think trips most people up. A misunderstanding of balance. So with these 6, I got a little off topic just talking about the 6. The 6, some of you out there faith may be priority right now. For others, the body may be priority. For others, it's family, all right? If you don't plan out all 6 and are intentional about all 6, what's going to happen is life is going to plan them for you. And it's not going to plan them the way you want. Life usually picks the wrong one because that's Mr. Murphy, right? You're not being intentional. You let go of the reins. If your body is wrecked, everything is harder. So I always kind of focus on my body and faith. If you're tired, inflamed, overweight, hungover, stressed, your mind isn't clear, your decisions get sloppy, your body has to be right. Your body is your equipment. No equipment, no production. So again, it's the first on the list, but sometimes people got some other things they got to fix first or prioritize first. For me, right now, it's really my body, my health, and my wellness. Now I'm going to tell you why I prioritize that. Because if I can get that right, I can be a better husband, a better father, a better follower of Christ. I can be a better business owner, a better general manager, a better son, a better uncle, a better everything. The question isn't, do I want to be healthy? The question is, what's the cost of staying unhealthy? So just for your body, just pick 1 or 2 goals, right? Keep it simple. This is where people go sideways. They overcomplicate. Lose 20 pounds, 40 pounds, walk 8,000 steps, 10,000 steps. Maybe you're not walking at all, and 4,000 steps is a good goal. Lift or go to the gym 3 times a week, 4 times a week. Stop drinking or cut it way down. Go to bed by 9:30, maybe 10, and then build the habit ladder. Not a hero plan, not a take on the world. Something that is sustainable. Consistency and sustainability win the day. Family. Now I got family, and I keep family separately because to me, it's not relationships. Family stands alone. It's that important. And whether you're married or divorced, dating, single, whether you have kids or no kids, you still have a family to some extent. And it's still an important pillar. Here's the truth. If your family life is chaotic, everything else gets expensive. It costs you focus, it costs you energy, it costs you peace. Now, I will tell you, I'm talking from my personal beliefs and experiences. And I'm just sharing with you what I've evolved into and what I do. So when it comes to family, again, simple goals, 1 or 2 goals. I'm going to start going on a date night once a week. Sunday family breakfast or Sunday family dinner. 1 intentional conversation per day. Pick up the phone. Call one of your kids. Call your spouse. Call your mother. Call somebody and have an intentional conversation. Here's a big one. Repair a relationship you've neglected. I personally have been on that journey with my sister. This doesn't require you to take a retreat in Sedona, although that could be nice. It requires you to stop being busy and using being busy as an excuse. Now, lastly is tribe. Tribe, I use tribe to identify people, friends, mentors, coaches, but also the relationships you operate inside every day. Coworkers, customers, vendors, you name it. Your life will match the standards of the people around you and the relationship you have with them. If you're around undisciplined people, you'll find it easier to be undisciplined. If you're around serious people, and I use serious like people that are intentional, you'll tend to level up. I was just having the conversation with my daughter the other day about the people that you surround yourself with and how it impacts you as an individual. Ask yourself, who sharpens me? Who drains me? Who do I need more time with? Who do I need less time with? You know, this isn't about like being cruel, because it can be hard to decide I need to spend less time with that person. This isn't about wanting to hurt somebody's feelings, but it's about leveling yourself up. So if there's people in your life that you need to spend less time with, it's just the reality. You got to be honest. Next is faith, spirituality. For me, my faith is faith in God and in Jesus Christ. For you, it might be different, and that's perfectly fine. The question is, are you where you want to be with your faith? Are you giving it the time, the attention? Or are you being blown around and pulled in every direction and falling behind with where you want to be, with your relationship, with your faith? If you don't have a foundation bigger than your emotions, you'll be a slave to the moment, to the latest whim, to the impulses, to your vices. Faith, in my belief, is your rock. It's your anchor. A great year requires alignment internally. I think a lot of that comes from faith. Goals are easier when your soul isn't arguing with your calendar, your challenges, and everything coming at you. Next, craft or career. Craft is your trade, your business, your career, the thing you do to earn money, the thing you do to contribute to society, to your family, to your community. It feeds your family and builds your future. And here's the mistake people make. They wing it. They're not intentional. They show up and they go home. Real professionals don't wing it. If you're a business owner, one of your 2026 goals has to be the budget. You have to have a budget. If you're a tech, you also need a budget, personal and professional. A goal without numbers is just a wish wearing a tie. So whether you're a business owner, a technician, you need your budget. Your budget is how much am I going to make? How much do I want to make? How much am I going to save on the personal level, all right? On a business level, how much revenue are we targeting? What's the gross margin? What's our overhead? What net profit are we targeting? How many leads does that require? What's our conversion rate? How many of those jobs are sold? How many are going to be the higher ticket replacement type jobs versus IAQ and things of that nature? Trades are math. Business is math. And the math doesn't care about your motivation, right? So have a budget, especially if you're a team member of a business. If you don't know what your targets are to put into retirement, to put into savings, to spend, then you're going to get to the end of the year and you're going to wonder where all your money went. Budgets are not just for businesses. They're for people. They're for individuals. And the better you are with that, the more success you're going to find because you're going to be intentional in managing your money. So last on this list, but pillar is legacy. It's one that kind of flies under the radar, especially when you're younger, but legacy is your mark. What do you want to be remembered for? Legacy is built in small moments. How you treat people, what standards you hold, what you teach, how you teach, what you model, what you build or want to build, and what and how you give. Legacy is essentially my internal scoreboard for me, but it's the one the public sees, the one and the thing and the way people talk about you when you're not in the room. Think about that for a minute. How do people talk about you when you're not in the room? How do you want them to talk about you? How do you want to be remembered? So now look, you get the big six, you dial them in, and I'm not a random resolution person. I use the new year to reset goals, just kind of like I use the quarter to reset them, recast them, make sure I'm in alignment with them, make sure they don't need to be adjusted or dialed back or move forward. Or check this one out, eliminate them. Yeah, eliminate them. You can eliminate a goal. It's okay to abandon a goal if it's no longer aligned with your life, your mission, your purpose at the moment. Or maybe you realize it was too much and you're not ready to take that on yet. Some goals were for an old version of you. Some goals conflict with each other. Some goals you'll find out were ego goals. And it's okay to have ego goals. But you may find out that one in particular is not right or the timing's not right. So this time next year, what do you want to have accomplished? Use these three questions. These are really powerful questions, and I'm sure you're familiar with them, but use them in this process. What do I need to stop doing? What do I need to start doing? And what do I need to keep doing? Think about that. Stop doing, start doing, and keep doing. And a fourth I like to kind of get imaginary with. And if I had a magic wand, what one thing would transform my life? Losing 40 pounds, completely not drinking, saving 10% or 15% of my income, fix my marriage, get out of debt, hire the right people, get rid of the wrong ones, get serious about faith, get control of my schedule. I mean, these are questions that you ask yourself. What could they be? They could be any one of those. They could be more. But figure out what they are and then build around it. And then make it practical. Say your goal is to go ahead and wake up earlier, right? You want to wake up early. You want to go to bed early. You want to wake up earlier. Essentially, you want to get a better night's sleep. What a lot of people do is they'll go ahead and they start on day one, going to bed early and waking up early. And then halfway through the week, it falters. Instead, build the habit ladder we talked about. Stop the behavior that's stealing sleep. Maybe it's being on the phone at night, too much television, eating too late, whatever it is. Let's say it's the phone. Pick a time you're going to set the phone down. It's not a big deal. It's not a huge lift. Just pick it and stick to it. Once the phone habit is dialed down, I should say, now move your bedtime. If you're normally going to bed at 11 and you want to go to bed at 8:30, don't start going to bed at 8:30. Move to 10:30 or 10. And then 9:30. And once you got that down and you're hitting success with that, now talk about waking up earlier. Focus on that. That's how change happens. It's steps. It's a process. You know that saying, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Problem is, when it comes to goals, a lot of times we try and eat the whole elephant at once. Once you have your goals set out, work backwards. Fast forward to a year from now, write down what your life looks like in present tense as it relates to those goals. If you're 250 pounds and you want to weigh 200 pounds, right? I weigh 200 pounds. I go to bed at 8:30 and I wake up at 4 a.m. I've grown my business by 20% and increased net profit by 10%. Write it down as though it's happened. Now what you have to do is work backwards as to what you have to do each month, the quarter, the week. Break it down to the day. You don't have to get overly descriptive with this, but just know what has to happen, what steps have to happen. You're just not going to wake up and be where you want to be. You have to be intentional about it. I think we all know Deion Sanders. Coaches at Colorado right now. Phenomenal athlete. Was with the Dallas Cowboys, which is an Eagle fan. He was phenomenal when he played. I wish he was. with a different team. But I digress. Deion Sanders had a coach once and told Deion Sanders, be where your feet are. And Deion Sanders recites that quite a bit. Be where your feet are. Think about that. Be where your feet are. Start where you actually are, not where you wish you were or where you were. Remember, when we discussed with Weldon Long a couple episodes ago, when he was on the podcast, and he learned you can create a future from your imagination, not your past, and how it changed his life. So be where your feet are. Create a future from your imagination. Learn from your past. Don't repeat your past. So this week, here's what you should focus on if you're serious about this. Grade your 2025. Reflect on it and grade it. Run through the Big Six exercise. Be truthful where you are and where you want to go. And then pick 1 or 2 goals per pillar, right? You may pick 1 or 2 goals and in a quarter have them accomplished, be rock and roll. Now you can, in that next quarter, you can focus on more goals. But keep it simple, 1 or 2. Don't overwhelm yourself. Define the small habit that starts to change. That's it. Well, there is one more step. Once you define the small habit that starts to change, you got to actually carry on and carry through with that small habit. Simple, not easy, because it takes action. It takes being intentional and being deliberate. So if you're a business owner listening, start with the budget. If you don't know your numbers, you're not running a business. You're running a side hustle. And if this episode has helped you, I would love it if you share it with someone who needs structure, who wants to set goals, who wants to rock 2026. And if you want, comment or message me the word Big Six, and I'll know to keep building on this framework, because next episodes, I can break down how I score it weekly and keep it from turning into another January pep talk. Also, share in the comments what some of your goals are for 2026. I'd love to hear them. And with that said, welcome 2026. Before I go into the quote of the day, remember, win the day, one day at a time. I should say quote of the week. Quote of the week fits with what we've been talking about. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. That's from James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits. Fantastic book. And James is known for one thing. He doesn't sell motivation. He sells behavior change. Goals are the destination. Systems are the vehicle. If you keep the same habits, the same environment, the same routines, you'll get the same year, just like you will with a new calendar. Same thing, nothing different. Here's how it applies today. If you want good profit, you need systems that create value. If you want a stronger body, you need systems that protect your sleep and nutrition. If you want stronger relationships, you need systems for time and attention. If you want to grow spiritually, you need systems for prayer, reflection, and alignment. And creative destruction is the moment you admit the old system has to go. The old system has to go. So, as we're closing out here, again, pick one goal for January in your pillars, instill it. Just start. Just start going down the road, right? And if you don't want to do all of the stuff that I've outlined here that I do, again, just pick something simple. Take action. That's the biggest thing. As long as you're taking action, you're moving forward. That's what matters. And so, as I close out the first episode of 2026, the Tradepreneur Show, I'll ask one more time, if I may. If this episode helped you, share it with someone who needs structure. If you like the new book segment, let me know. Put good profit in the notes. I'm going to continue to do a little bit of that book, each podcast, quick and simple like I did. Welcome to Season 2 of the Tradepreneur Show. I'll see you next time. And remember, be great and focus on winning the day, one day at a time.